Ahmadi Muslims are deeply committed to the promotion of peace, freedom, loyalty to country, and service to humanity. In 2011, our community established an annual Ahmadiyya Muslim Humanitarian Award to recognize the services and contributions of individuals who selflessly strive to assist oppressed and disadvantaged communities around the world. By being an advocate for these communities, these individuals protect and safeguard fundamental and universal human rights. This year, we are delighted to honor the work of two advocates who have worked in unique ways to serve our nation's military veterans. Our first honoree is Scott Cooper, Director of National Security Outreach for Human Rights First. Human Rights First is a leading independent human rights nonprofit based in New York and DC. Scott leads the project Veterans for American Ideals, a nonpartisan movement of military veterans who advocate American leadership on human rights. Prior to joining Human Rights First, Scott spent a career in the Marine Corps. He served 5 tours in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan, 1 in Europe, and 1 in the Western Pacific. This year, Veterans for American Ideals joined a member of our community and launched the 29 for 29 Ramadan initiative to bring U.S. military veterans to the homes of Ahmadi Muslim families across the United States throughout the month of Ramadan. Scott is a dear friend of the community and has done tremendous work. It is our honor to give him the Ahmadiyya Muslim Humanitarian Award. We ask him to accept the award from our National Vice President, Falaz Shams, and then share his remarks.
Assalamu alaikum. I am honored and humbled by this award. Thank you. My contributions have been small, but hopefully helpful in your work. I came to know about the work of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community through my friend, my dear friend, Mansoor Shams, whom many of you may know. He is a Marine Corps veteran. He's a kindred spirit who has taught me much about what it means to use your voice to bridge divides, to bring people together, and to live that virtue that we call moral courage. He's also a leader at the Betis Samad Mosque in Baltimore, where I've been on a number of occasions. Many of you are likely familiar with his work as the founder of Muslim Marine, an effort to unify people through conversations. He traveled the country and the world seeking to put a face on a noble calling, that of a patriot who serves both his faith and his country. Mansoor, thank you. I spent a good bit of time studying the life of His Holiness Mirza Masroor Ahmad, who since becoming the 5th Khalifa of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in 2003, has continuously called for honesty and the observance of unconditional justice and fairness in international relations. An important and, I dare say, extremely well-needed remedy in today's challenges. I praise his and your noble efforts. I grew up in a Protestant faith tradition. I was raised in the state of Wyoming, which, as you might imagine, has very, very few Muslims. In fact, Wyoming has very, very few people. My grandfather used to say that there's hardly enough people to have a good fight in Wyoming. But my upbringing in small-town Wyoming left me with the deep-rooted understanding that people are people, and the inherent human dignity of all is fundamental to all faiths, and something we must continue to remind ourselves of as children of God. I witnessed my neighbors people of all faiths and none, lift one another up, feed the hungry, care for the poor, comfort the afflicted, welcome the stranger, and make peace. At the root of all this was the notion of the dignity of every human being. I learned this as well in the Marine Corps, believe it or not. I was but a young 18-year-old when I joined the military. I recall my drill instructor reminding us that we were all equal. In fact, that every single one of us was insufficient and inadequate. It didn't matter who your parents were, what color your skin was, what God you prayed to. You couldn't do anything right. He reminded us of that every day. But seriously, my experience in the military was about the remarkable equality of all, that we were all equal. In the old Marine jargon, that we all bled green, and that we all have a duty, dare I say a greater purpose, to plumb the depths so that we may find the strength to love more fully, to see our own reflection in each other, to be our brothers and our sisters' keeper, and to keep faith with one another. I spent much of my 20 years in the Marine Corps deployed to Europe, to the Middle East, to Central Asia. I witnessed much of the worst of humanity, war and strife and conflict. I witnessed people who killed and maimed, sometimes in the name of religion. But I also witnessed the profound goodness of people, the strength, the tenacity, the compassion and the love that flow from all of our faiths. I observed missionaries building schools in faraway lands, and I enjoyed the warm hospitality of many Muslim families who welcomed me into their homes and served me a feast that on many occasions likely cost them several weeks' income. Tonight, I'd like to focus for a moment on an aspect of our country that is so critical to our continued existence and success, and that is the notion of religious freedom. I mentioned to you before that I'm not a Muslim, but I believe profoundly in your right. Yes, your right to worship as you choose. Our First Amendment states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Let me give you a wonderful example. My last assignment was at the Pentagon, quite unfortunately. In the Pentagon, there's a chapel. It's a small room in what is one of the largest office buildings in the world, some 17 miles of hallway where over 20,000 people come to work each workday. The chapel seats only 80. Posted outside the chapel is a schedule of services: Catholic confession and Mass, a Jewish service and a Torah study, a Hindu service, a Mormon service, and services for other Christian denominations, along with a Muslim prayer service. When they have a Muslim prayer service, they move the pews against the walls and position prayer rugs for Muslims to practice their faith. I recall hosting many military dignitaries at the Pentagon, and this chapel is one of the most important places that they want to see. I witnessed generals and admirals take a moment to enter the chapel to reflect, to pray, and to practice their faith freely in a nation that guarantees it. What could be more American than that? Today, I have the privilege to lead the work of an organization called Veterans for American Ideals, which you heard a little bit about. You know, I like to joke that we're at a unique time in our country when suddenly, as a veteran, I am much braver and better looking than I deserve. We're in kind of a thank you for your service moment. And while we appreciate the gratitude of a grateful nation, I believe that with that comes an obligation to continue to serve. And so it was in this vein that we had this Ramadan, this 29 for 29 Ramadan initiative. It was the brainchild of Mansour, and he said, hey, what if we do this? If we pair military veterans with Muslim families, each veteran will spend the night at the home of a Muslim and gain an intimate knowledge of our holy month of Ramadan. We did that 29 times over. The branding, of course, was the 29 days of Ramadan this year, but also a tip of the hat to ESPN's 30 for 30. We had veterans around the country that arrived late in the afternoon, celebrated an iftar, went to the mosque or the Muslim community, and then spent the night waking early the next morning to observe the beginning of the fast. And I can tell you, it was transformational for those veterans. Thank you, Mansour. Thank you, Ahmadiyya Muslim community, for joining with us in that. Throughout this work, I have found it's so gratifying and important to be able to partner and to collaborate with groups like yours, to encourage our fellow citizens to open our arms rather than to clench our fists, to look out rather than to turn inward, to accept rather than to reject. You all give me hope that if we are properly humble, if we stand up for the dignity and value of every man, woman, and child, recognize that we are all equal in His eyes, we may once again find the better angels of our nature. I pray that we will. Thank you for this distinguished honor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Scott, for those inspiring words. Our second honoree for the Ahmadiyya Muslim Humanitarian Award is the Honorable United States Congressman Raja Krishnamurthi for Illinois' 8th District. A graduate of Princeton and Harvard Law School, Congressman Krishnamurthi serves on the Committee on Education and Workforce and the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. He has made advocacy for military veterans a top legislative priority, focusing on their health, education, jobs, preventing homelessness. A few months ago, Congressman Krishnamurthi joined our community's annual Day on the Hill, where we brought 100 strong to advocate this year for the rights of the oppressed Rohingya Muslim community in Myanmar. And he spoke passionately there about their rights and, of course, the rights of all who suffer persecution. We're honored and delighted that he came all the way to Harrisburg for this occasion, and we ask him to accept the 2018 Ahmadiyya Muslim Humanitarian Award and share his remarks.
Assalamu alaikum. I am honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to be someplace where they pronounce your name correctly. I should tell you that the first time I ran for office, I said, "Hi, my name is Raja Krishnamurthi." And someone said to me, "So, what the heck does that mean? Where did you get that name?" So I was thinking to myself, and I said, it's very simple. Translated from an ancient Asian language, it means Congressman for the 8th District of Illinois. I'd like to observe the 3 rules of public speaking: be short, be sweet, and be gone. And so I just have 3 points that I want to make. First of all, I want to say thank you for this wonderful humanitarian award, but in accepting it, I'm here to celebrate you. And I'd like to thank His Holiness Mirza Masroor Ahmad, the president of your national organization, Dr. Ahmad, the people who personally invited me to be here in Harrisburg, including Amjad Mahmud Khan, Mujib Ijaz, Ifti Ahmad, and I'd like to especially celebrate you and the dignitaries who came here today. Can you give yourselves a big round of applause? You know, Ahmadiyya Muslims are some of the most exceptional people who make this country one of the most exceptional in the world. Ahmadiyya Muslims seek to serve humanity and promote the peaceful teachings of Islam. Your goals of peace, your rejection of violence, and your celebration of justice are central to the dreams of all Americans. Your example of service through hundreds of blood drives, your exemplary service in disaster relief around the world, your charitable works for those in communities who need it, not only does tremendous good across the country and around the world, but it fosters a better understanding of your religion. I applaud the message of this year's Jalsa Salana. Justice is the foundation for a lasting peace. I support you in all of your efforts to bring together people of every background to foster fairness and understanding, and I'm a proud member of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Caucus on Capitol Hill. But I go to my second point, which is celebrating our veterans is especially appropriate today. And can you give Mr. Cooper another big round of applause for the work that he does every day? Generations of American soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen have fought and died to preserve the freedom and the equality that the United States represent. These ideals are crucial. They are crucial for every American, regardless of whether you're Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Jew, or you are a person of no belief, to live together in unity without fear of persecution and to pursue your American dream. Today, however, my friends, too many of our veterans are not able to pursue their American dreams. Today, an estimated 40,000 veterans are homeless. Suicide is also a vexing problem. In my home state of Illinois alone, almost 200 veterans took their life in 1 year alone, a rate more than twice as high as the non-veteran population. Veterans are also more likely to struggle with post-traumatic stress disorder, as well as substance use disorders. We must come to their aid as they come to our aid every single day. That is why I am proud to have introduced and passed legislation to strengthen job training for reservists and veterans. I'm proud to have supported legislation that was signed into law that will require a national strategy to prevent suicide among veterans. I was also proud to be an original sponsor of legislation that has become law that is called the Forever GI Bill, that allows veterans to use their GI Bill benefits any time after service in the military to pursue a lifetime of educational and workforce opportunities. I'm proud to stand with veterans, and I'm proud that you stand with them too. So thank you to our veterans for everything that you do every day for our country. Third and final point, I'm going to go a little bit off script here. We need you now more than ever, Ahmadiyya Muslims, to participate in the civic life of our country. You do so much for your families, you do so much for your communities, and you do so much for your country. But I ask that you do more. I ask that you engage in even more public service for your country. In Washington, D.C., there's an old saying, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu. None of us in this room are going to be on the menu. Am I correct about that? And so I ask you to do at least 3 things. I don't care if you're Republican, I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're independent. I ask you to do 3 things. First of all, you need to vote. If you don't vote, other people will vote on your behalf. And you will have to live with whatever they decide to represent on your behalf. I choose to speak for myself, and I ask that you do for yourselves as well. So it's time to vote this year in 2018. The second point is to volunteer for causes bigger than yourself, including political causes. You are already so active in your religious and charitable causes, but I ask you to consider participating in causes bigger than yourself that might help represent you in places like Washington, D.C. And the third and final point is this: I ask you to run for office. I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, or what have you. I ask that you consider at least, if not a lifetime of public service, a season of public service. And that may include running for office. When I was growing up, my father said to me, "Raja, you can do anything you want to do in life." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yes. You can be a civil engineer, a mechanical engineer, an electrical engineer, or a computer engineer." I said, "Wow, that's amazing." I ended up getting a BS in mechanical engineering. Of course, now I practice the BS part, not the engineering. But in all seriousness, I hope that even after you attain your professional and educational accomplishments, that you've engaged in an avocation and you've established financial independence for you and your families, that you'll consider running for office. Perhaps you'll run for city council. Perhaps you'll run for state house, maybe for state senate. Maybe in our lifetimes we will see an Ahmadiyya member of the United States Congress. How about that? Maybe one of you will run, or one of your children or grandchildren will run for the United States Congress. I just ask one favor. Please do not do so in my congressional district. But in any other congressional district, I'll be happy and delighted. With that, I close with my favorite saying, which is that yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. I'm so honored and blessed to be here for a few short minutes of your precious time to celebrate you, to celebrate your families, and to celebrate how together we are going to make America a better place. And so with that, I say, God bless you, God bless your families, God bless Ahmadiyya Muslims, and of course, God bless the United States of America. Thank you so much. Thank you, and God bless. Thank you.